When Mario Odyssey was first announced, I watched the trailer and my jaw was on the floor. I knew at some point I had to get the Switch for myself because I couldn't just miss out on it. I mean, oh my god, the graphics, the way Mario moved. I mean, the hat throw was a little goofy to me, but like, the graphics, the way Mario moved, the different worlds, different enemies, it all looked so incredible. A few months later, we got another trailer and you can be a dinosaur, a frog, ride a motorcycle. I need this game, is what most people said. Now, I was a stupid, stubborn 11-year-old at the time and I hated change. My favorite Mario game was Galaxy 2 and I never wanted anything too different from that. And if something did end up straying away from what I was familiar with, I was probably gonna hate on it to some degree. Wow, this game is so stupid. Nintendo doesn't even know what they're doing. Is this baby shit? Mario shouldn't even be able to do that. So my hype was killed after that. Months later, I eventually got my Switch, and I remember I was at my friend's house who had the game. He was playing it and I was probably just hating on it in his face because, once again, I was a complete idiot. So he offered to let me try it. I started a new save and within 10 minutes of playing, the nostalgia goggles came off and I was struggling to find something to actually hate on. I had felt the exact feeling that I used to get while playing Mario Galaxy. Shortly after that, I bought the game and the rest was history. The way this game kicks off, it is breathtaking from the start. This is the best a Mario game has ever looked. It is visually stunning from start to finish, and actually getting the chance to see Mario get his ass kicked in the form of a cutscene was kinda bold, but just like the other Mario games, it wastes no time setting the scene and reeling you in. The pacing of Odyssey is relentless, but in the best way possible. It is one highlight after another. Cap Kingdom serves as a little prologue almost, but this is where you first transform into a frog. And if you didn't see any trailers of the game, I could just imagine how wild your imagination goes after this just thinking about what you'll become next. You fight a boss, go to Cascade Kingdom, and you become a Chain Chomp and a T-Rex, and then you fight another boss and you collect your first moons. It's a lot. And that's just the first 30 minutes. A great thing about Odyssey is that you can transform into one thing, absolutely despise it, but still come around to falling in love with this game because there just so happens to be another 50 or so other characters that you can capture. Now with Mario Sunshine, if you don't like Flood, you probably don't like Mario Sunshine. That one aspect of the game kind of determines how much you will enjoy it overall. Mario Odyssey is a game that controls phenomenally. There are times where you can realistically avoid turning into certain things and just use the base Mario to progress. It might be more challenging at times, but you have the option to play that way. It's games like this that stand out when they give you the liberty to play in numerous different ways. Odyssey is one of those games that have such power in making you feel all of these emotions. From the beginning you are reeled in and invested, feeling absolutely hooked by what's in front of you, but it isn't only because of the gameplay. Nintendo obviously sets a very high bar for their soundtracks, and for 3D Mario games especially, they've always sounded very grand in a sense. Something that I love about this game's score in particular is how some songs don't even sound like they belong in an OST, and this isn't to knock game soundtracks, but if I were to play something like a bubblaine in the lobby of a hotel resort, it would just work. In Toast Arena Town, when Mario joins that mariachi band, if you heard that in public, no one's going to be able to tell. Mario Odyssey actually has 2 songs with lyrics and vocals, one of which being Jump Up Superstar, and that was obviously the primary song that they used during the advertisement. And this is honestly Mario Odyssey's official theme. You also had the Break Free song that was used when you transform into Bowser at the end of the game. I can ramble about particular songs, but honestly it would be the exact same thing for every single Mario game. The soundtrack is phenomenal. There's so many songs that are just nods to classic ones but get revamped in some way, and then plenty of new material for each and every kingdom. And that's what I will always appreciate too. These songs don't just sit in the background, they are a part of the game's essence. The music complements each kingdom perfectly and makes each area feel all the more immersive. Every kingdom looks so distinct from one another. It isn't the best comparison, but in 2D Mario games you can never tell which level is which because there were so many more. Now obviously that's how the 2D games play, a higher amount of small stages and the worlds were still pretty distinct. But these kingdoms are all so focused on different cultures and areas of the world, it's just so good. 3D games definitely give you way more of an opportunity to actually world build though, because you're not just moving left and right. I personally never loved World 2s because the desert levels were pretty hit or miss to me, but I remember when I first went into Sand Kingdom I was thinking, alright, let's just get this over with. But by the time I left it, I think I had probably spent 2 to 3 hours in there on my first playthrough just exploring every crevice of the map. It ended up being one of the most memorable and favorable sections. There's just so much to see. You're constantly fighting a new boss too. Some standouts were the underground boss in the Sand Kingdom, or even the Mecha Wiggler in New Donk City. That dragon? These fights just had you transforming into literal objects and not even creatures. At times, they made this game feel like a completely new genre. First time I fought the Mega Wiggler, I gained hella confidence and treated the tank like I was playing a full-blown shooter. The kingdoms will typically have you fighting one of the brutals, and then there's another boss usually tied to every kingdom in particular. Something I actually realized when replaying recently is, you can skip those bosses and still beat the game. What? The brutals have to be fought every time, there's no working your way around those, but some of the actual best fights can be completely skipped over. Last time I played, I accidentally skipped over the Wooded Kingdom boss in the Secret Flower Field, and that's one of the best fights in the game. The fact that some of the most memorable boss fights are basically side content, that's how you know the game is doing something special. The kingdoms feel so detailed. Well, the Cloud Kingdom has about 5 minutes of content, but that's just a detour spot. With the way this game is set up, you're heading towards one objective, and then you'll see something off in the distance, and now you're sidetracked, and that just keeps happening. Every path feels intentional, every direction feels like it might lead to something, so you end up collecting way more moons than you even need. Not because the game told you to, but because you were curious. Some moons are easier to find, some moons are a pain, but finally getting those super tricky ones is what felt the most rewarding, and that's what made me overstay my welcome throughout every kingdom. Odyssey encourages exploration and freedom everywhere you go, whether that's finding moons or finding the currency for all the kingdoms and purchasing collectibles and souvenirs. There's so much to do and so many ways to do it. It will constantly reinvent how you play Mario every time you capture someone. You're not just platforming, you're adapting and approaching situations differently almost every single time. There's not a single point in this game where it feels dull or repetitive, even on a replay. It's the constant sense of mystery and discovery that keeps you engaged all the time, and when you sit back down in the Odyssey to continue the journey, you can appreciate what you've collected from each and every destination so far. But we all know the one spot in particular that stands out more than any other, New Donk City. And this is one of the biggest things they've showed off before the game even released, because seeing Mario in a humanoid, New York style environment just felt different. It's vibrant, you have cars driving around, question blocks on the light poles, people working or socializing, it's awesome. Then Pauline's Festival starts. This is an absolute love letter to the series and a total celebration to the history of Mario or even Donkey Kong. You get to see the city lights at night and you play through a classic 2D Mario section dodging barrels thrown by Donkey Kong. As you defeat Donkey Kong, you listen to the incredible band performance of Jump Up Superstar, the song you've most likely been waiting to hear the whole time you play through the game. As it's all happening in the moment, you realize that this isn't just another level, you're quite literally playing through the history of Mario. And that's what I think Odyssey does so well, just like Galaxy. It doesn't just give you great gameplay or beautiful worlds, it makes you feel something. I think there's a lot of different reasons on why this part makes me feel so many emotions. I think they did a really good job on establishing the idea of New Donk City before you even play the game. Watching that very first reveal and seeing Mario platform around tall buildings already plants a seed in your mind. So finally getting to that spot that lives up to that built up moment and getting rewarded with such a beautiful segment is definitely something. I think another reason is that the festival almost feels like it's for the player. The song is being performed almost in sync with your gameplay. Every jump, every movement, it all lines up with what you're hearing. It feels like the game is celebrating you just as much as it's celebrating Mario. When I play that, it brought me right back to how I felt playing Mario as a kid. I grew up on Galaxy. For half of my life, I had told myself that it was one of, if not the best game, let alone best Mario game of all time. As a 20-year-old now, I could still confidently say that Galaxy 1 and 2 are without a doubt masterpieces. They perfectly encapsulate a time in my life where everything was so simple, where my only stressors were my bedtime and beating difficult levels. I didn't think it was something that I could ever feel again, and I couldn't be happier that I was wrong. I think when it all comes down to it, Super Mario Odyssey is the culmination of every 3D Mario game, taking and reiterating some of the best aspects from each one while innovating so much more and really pushing the boundaries for what a Mario game could be. You take the open sandbox exploration from something like a Mario 64, the absolute grandiose charm and atmosphere from the Mario Galaxy games, and just like how Sunshine had the flood gimmick, Odyssey introduces Cappy that doesn't overcomplicate the feel of Mario in any way and really just complements the gameplay so nicely. It has a really great case of being the best Mario game created to date. And you might be wondering, were you not a kid when Mario Odyssey came out? The answer is yes, I was. But as someone who grew up quite stubborn, once I developed my opinions, I did my best to keep my original opinions intact. I never wanted another Mario game to dethrone Galaxy 2, and I think this speaks volumes about Odyssey because not only did it manage to break that mindset I had for years, but even coming back as an adult 9 years later, it reminded me why I love Mario so much in the first place.